Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chuck Terry of Crescent and Valiani. Today we're going to do an outline of a game-worn football jersey for youth sports. I'm going to start with File, New, in Corel Draw, open up a new palette, and then I'm going to bring my design in. I'm going to go File, Import, and I'm actually bringing in an image of the jersey that I want to outline. I'm going to import the file. If I bring the design in and I just hit the enter key, then it'll bring it right into the center of the page. Okay. Now at this point, it's pretty hard to draw around objects that have color to it because you can't see the lines that you're working with. So I'm going to go into View and click on Wireframe. And then once I've got it in the white gray scale, I can kind of see where I'm going to be able to draw a little bit better. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I've got the object laid out and it looks like it's going to be somewhat straight. And this all is how well you do at taking the picture. It looks like I might need to adjust the image by about a half a degree here. Oh, not 5 degrees, a half a degree. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and start my drawing. I'll go ahead and highlight the guideline red, delete that out, and then I'm going to start with my drawing. Now, a lot of this has curves in it. There are some areas where there's straight lines. So let's just quickly go through the process here. So we're going to go to our drawing tool, 3-point curve, and we're going to start right here at the bottom. I'm going to drag it up. We're going to put our end point of our curve where we want to stop, and then bring in where we want to bend it into the middle. Okay, so that's going to create our first curve. Now, using the wheel, I can zoom in and out of areas where I want to focus on. So the next part is I'm going to put a curve up and around here, and I still have my curve tool selected. You can see under the icon there, it's got the 3-point curve. I'll put my mouse over the top and I get a little down arrow underneath, no longer showing me a curve. That means it's going to close the curve. That's very important. So then I'm going to come back over here, drag that around. I'm creating an insert, so I don't want the foam insert to be seen. So I'm going to click on that. Then I'll come up here, go to my next point. Looks like there's going to be a little curve here. We'll bring that into there. Then I'm going to switch over to a line, 2-point line. Bring that up and over. And then it looks like that's a straight shot across there too, so I can use a line there as well. And I can bring it to that point. And then if I'm satisfied where I want it, I click and let go. Okay. Well, that's one portion of the jersey. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do the other side of it. I'm going to click to use my 3-point curve, bring it up, bend it in, come up to the next point, put my curve over to here, and then bring that over. Now, as most of you know, not all jerseys are the same. They do have, especially game-worn jerseys, they do have some stretching and different things going on. So it looks like I might need to move this over just a little bit. So I'm going to double click on that point and drag this out just a little bit further. Okay, and then I'm going to take my 3-point curve again, bring it up, bend it around to the numbers there. You don't have to be too specific because you can go back and edit it. And then 2-point line to there, ensuring that I have all my objects being closed at the same time. Okay. Now I just need to finish it off with a little curve around the neck here. So I'm going to switch this over and then bring this down, bring it over to here, hold my control key down so I keep everything symmetrical. Again, this is going to be hidden behind the neckline, so it's going to be not seen. Now I can finish off down here at the bottom. So I've got a little bit of a curve here. Let's come over here, hold the control key, make it nice and straight, and then bring in my bend, and then come back here, and then put in my little bend there. Okay, so now the object has been outlined. Now the one thing is, because I started on one side and then I jumped over to the other side, this object, as you can see, is not connecting to these other objects. If I click on this, it's only connecting around to there. So that means this side needs to be combined together. So what I want to do is I want to select all the objects and go to Object, Combine, and then I'm going to double click, and you're going to see double arrows. That means that it is not closed. If I go to another area here, I have just a square node. That means that one is closed. So I'm just going to simply click. I can let go, drag, drop it right back onto that point. Okay, so then I can do the same thing down here. Click, drag that away, drop it back on, and now the object is closed. I can click on here, and then what you're going to do from here is take the measurements from across the shoulders, either total width or total height, and you will adjust the size of the jersey once you've got it outlined. So in this case, we're going to say it was 25 inches, and it's going to scale everything down for us. Now we have our perfectly outlined jersey, and this is going to be for the foam core insert. Good afternoon. So here is our finished design. There's multiple facets to this layout, and I wanted to show you the overall design and then break them down into smaller pieces for you as we go throughout the creation of this project. So first and foremost, you can see there's a lot going on here. There's some openings that are merged together. Look kind of like they're floating across the front of the jersey. We have the big gray area, which is our insert of our jersey that we started with in Corel Draw. We have our clip art that we brought in from Corel Draw, and then we have some text, the school logo, and different things about this design. So I'm going to show it to you in wireframe so you can see a little bit better what all is included in here. So this one here, this very middle insert, as you can see, I've got it set up to cut on layer 1. It's a normal cut with the 90-degree head. This is actually my foam core. So this is the very first piece that I cut when I'm working with this to get the jersey fitted and stretched. Once I get that all fitted and stretched, I no longer need the design or need that in the design. So I'm going to go ahead and actually delete this out. And then as we zoom in here, you can see there's our openings for the prints or the pictures. Okay. And then we've used the contouring tool and shaping tool to shape the objects into different layers from layer 2 to layer 3. And these objects here that are on the outskirts of the design, they're actually on layer number 4. Again, these are going to be cut and placed on top as a raised beveled mat, if you would. And I'm going to do the same thing with the text. I'm going to take the text, cut them out separately, and I'm going to cut them in a reverse bevel and lay them and glue them in on top of the mat. And then the logo for the W for Westlake is also just laying on top, so it's going to be reverse bevel as well. So again, there's quite a few different things about this design that we're going to work through, and I'll start with the beginning and show you how we come up with this design. Okay, so we're going to continue on building this design up. I'm going to go ahead and delete everything in this design that we don't need to begin with. So I'm going to get rid of all of the text, all of the clip art, all the windows, all the openings, all the contoured objects, and all of my additional layers. So I'm basically just starting off with my initial design where I had my insert. So the first thing I want to do is I want to contour around this so that I get an equal distance, equal spacing, even all the way around the insert. So I'm going to click on the insert contour, and I'm going to contour it out 1 inch. I'm going to put it on layer 1, and as you notice here, it's on the gray 90. That's because the tool that I used to cut the foam core with was the 90-degree head. I'm actually going to change that now to the 40-degree green head, and I'm going to click OK. Now that creates a contour out around my foam core insert for my jersey, and technically I could get rid of my jersey at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and leave that in here. Now what I don't want is I don't want this dip down into the jersey any longer. So I'm going to build a little bit. I'm going to do a little construction here. I'm going to add in an opening. Let's make it 3.5 by 3.5. I'm going to drag that up to the top middle center here and take a look and see if I can see any distance or gap there, and I can. So I want to actually make this a little bit wider. So let's use my up arrows here. Let's go out a little bit more, maybe right there. So I don't see a seam. Maybe I can bring it down a 16th. And then I'm going to take that selected object, hold my control key down, and I am going to go into advanced and merge those together. Okay, so now you can see I still got a little bit of garbage in there, so I probably went too far. So let's back that up a little bit. Maybe come out another 16th. Come back in, hold the control key down, select my next object, and merge. Okay, now that looks a little cleaner. So there's no extra pieces or gaps left in there. Okay, now I'm going to take that shape and I'm going to contour it a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to eventually put it on layer 2, but I'm going to move it to layer 1 for now. Okay, so now I've got my second layer for my mat, and it looks like it added in a little bit of offsets in there that I don't necessarily want to have in there, but that's okay. So what I want to do is actually I'm going to take that out. Let's delete that. Let's go ahead and bring in my clip art for my logo. That's not what I want. Let's bring in insert clip art, Westlake. Okay, I'm going to size this up to about 3.5 inches. Bring it up here. See if we're wide enough. Oh, we're potentially wide enough. Let's just make it safe. Go 4 inches. Okay. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to put that into the jersey. So I'm going to use my contour tool again. I'm going to take that W. I'm going to go contour 1/4 inch, put it on layer 1, and click OK. And I should have a nice little outline around the jersey there. Okay, so now let's go ahead. I should be okay with what I had in there. I'm going to go ahead and contour my jersey again. So I'm going to actually cover up those parts that looked a little bit jagged. So let's go into wireframe mode here, and you can see what I'm talking about. See how there's these little areas that are bumped up? I'm actually going to be getting rid of those. So the first thing that I want to do is click on the contoured logo, hold the control key down, go to my inner part, and I'm going to go to advanced and trim bottom. Now that's going to make that jog down, come around, and go back out. Now I'm going to take that logo that I had contoured, click on it, hold the control key down, and I'm going to go to my outer object, and I'm going to merge it together. Okay, so now I've got a nice outline around there. I don't have that cup shape in there anymore, and it's nicely edited out. Okay, so the next phase in this process is the openings. I've already added the openings in, and got them positioned where I wanted them. So we're going to move to the next step, and that is to contour these 3 objects. So I'm going to hold the control key down. I'm going to select the left, the middle one's already selected, and the right. And then I'm going to contour that put it on layer 1, and I'm going to go out 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now I've got a contour that goes out 3/4 of an inch. Now, from here, we're going to work with binding these objects, these three windows together. Okay, so what I want to do is just create an arbitrary shape. So I'm going to go ahead and add in an oval. I'm going to size that oval to 12 inches wide and 2 inches high. Then I'm going to copy and paste it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and align them centered. I'm going to select the other one, select the other object. So I got them both selected. I'm going to align them up. I'm going to go out of wireframe mode here for just a moment. And then I'm going to just move this object down a little bit. Okay. Just, again, I'm creating a random shape to be able to tie these objects together with. So select both objects, make sure they're aligned perfectly centered. Then I'm going to go into advanced and I'm going to do trim bottom. Now I can't see it, so I'm going to go back into wireframe mode, but this object is all intact. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, and now I've got this kind of bowed shape object that I'm going to use to bind these three objects together with. So let's go back into solid mode. I'm going to go to Control A, select all, group, ungroup, so I can see this object again. Bring it down and just position it where you think you would like to see it. It could be positioned in the middle, be towards the top. Again, it's kind of just a random pattern that we're working with. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back into wireframe mode here. I'm going to select that object. I'm going to hold the control key down, select those objects out there. And the reason why all three of them were selected was because the contour was set to global mode. Now I'm looking at that one there, it doesn't look quite centered, so I'm going to center that one horizontally a little bit there. Okay, that's a little bit better. Hold the control key again, and then go into advanced and merge the objects together. Okay, so now that leaves me with a nice little outline around all those objects. It's all tied together. So I want to go ahead and go in let's go 1/4 inch in the negative. So put it on layer 1, hit apply, and now I've got that binding or shape down there that's 1/4 inch off. Okay, now that's still not quite what I want, so the next thing I'm going to do is take this object, the middle object, and that object. I'm going to contour them again, 1/4 inch, click OK. Now I've got what I'm looking for. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do, let's zoom in on this a little bit, and you can see it gets kind of confusing in here, but again, remember, this is my original object. This is my contoured out an inch, and then this is my ultimate upper layer that's 1/4 inch larger. So I'm going to take this object right here, go to my first 1 inch contour, and I'm going to choose trim bottom. Now, what did that end up leaving me with? As you can see, everything in yellow is going to be cut. and it's going to skip past all of the internal stuff here. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to take that same object, hold the control key down, go to my outer object, and I'm going to merge them together. Okay. So now I've got exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. Now the final piece is going to be this internal ribbon right here. I want it to be cut as a reverse bevel because I'm going to inlay that back in. So I've got a normal bevel, and then a reverse bevel. So what that's going to end up being is a little floating piece inside of there. It's a 1/4 inch big. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to finish off the design with the remaining objects that we need to add into the design. So I'm going to go into my openings tab, go into insert clip art. I'm going to select my football clip art. I'm going to adjust the size. Let's make it say 12 inches. Okay. And then I need to rotate that object. So I'm going to go into advanced, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Then I'm going to go into my solid mode, bring it over here, and then just arbitrarily position it to a spot that looks good. And then if you want to fine tune it, maybe we make it 1.25 from the left or from the right, and 1.25 from the bottom. Again, it all just kind of depends on your positioning, how you like to, where you would want to put it. Now I'm going to copy, paste, and I'm going to take that object, move it over here, and then instead of using my rotation, I'm just going to simply mirror it. And then I'll go ahead and arrange the position. Let's go 1.25 and 1.25. Okay. Now, these two objects, these two football threads, are going to be cut as a reverse bevel. Okay, so I want to make sure that they're set to a reverse bevel because these are actually going to be not cut into the mat, but I'm going to cut them out of a separate mat and place them into the proper position here on top of the mat. Now the next thing and the final thing that we got to do is type in our text. So we're going to go to Valiani font. And under the Valiani font, I'm going to choose freshman. And I am going to type in capital letters, Thunder, football. I'm going to insert the text. Now it's going to come in really large, and I'm going to need to make some adjustments to it, but let's go ahead and make the size of the text 1.5 inches. Okay, and then from this point, let's go into wireframe mode for just a second so you can kind of see this. So the Thunder football, I want my externals to be cut as a reverse bevel. I want my internals to be cut as a normal bevel, and I want them all to be cut on a separate layer. So if I want to make this layer 5 and layer 5, I'm not going to actually be cutting it out of these colors here. I'm going to be cutting them out of a separate color and placing these on top of the mat. Okay. Now I need to split the text, go back into solid mode, and I'm going to select Thunder, group it. I'm going to select football and group it. Then I can position them as needed. So this one's going to come over here, and this one's going to be positioned right there. Now at this point, if I need to make them smaller, I can go ahead and do so. So let's go down, go proportional, let's go 1.25 and move that over to the two-inch position. Let's go 2 inches at the right, undo, 2 inches and 2 inches, and then let's take that one, bring it down 1.25 and position it at 2 inches at the top, 2 inches from the left. And again, if I want to move those to a different layer, it's not a big deal. I can go ahead and do so. Change layer process. Currently it's saying that it's going to cut on layer 5, but these will not be cut into the mat. I'm going to cut them separately. Okay. So ultimately our design is done and we've accomplished everything that we need to. However, nothing's been layered except for the text at the top. So I'm going to move this football strings onto layer 4 because I'm not going to actually cut them on this mat. Layer 4. Technically, my innermost cut set up to cut as a normal cut, 90-degree head. Then I'm going to go to my first contour that I did that was for outlining the opening for the jersey. So that's going to be on layer 2. And then my outermost layer, well, that's got to be on layer 2. And then the outermost layer has got to be on layer 3. Okay. Then my inside openings here, that's going to be cut on layer 2. Layer 2. Layer 2. And then the next line that it's going to cut, I want those to cut on layer 2, but I want them to be reverse bevel. And then my final outline here, it should be on, let me go into wireframe mode. This final layer here should be on layer 2 as well. And it's going to be a reverse cut. Back into solid mode. And now we've got everything positioned right. Now, if I click on the inside and I delete that out, you can see kind of what we've built up here and how we've brought everything together. Okay, let me undo that. I want to look at my W here. Well, my W is not on the right layer. I need to move it to layer 2. And also, I want it to cut reverse bevel because I'm going to be floating that onto the mat. So that pretty much completes the design. And I hope that you can see a lot of things that you can do with the Valiani Studio software, both with importing designs from illustration programs such as CorelDRAW and Illustrator, and also how you can work with custom designs that you've imported in and shape them using the tools that are built in for the software, such as shaping, rotating, mirroring, contouring, and also don't forget the fact that we can also move objects from layer to layer.